We will discuss our eighth lecture, which is global value chain. Among these 10 topics, okay, this 9 is not topic, it's revision week, right? Among those 10 topics, this global value chain is micro level study, okay? The others are usually macro level studies, right? So global value chain, so it's one of the newly developed studies today, which those multinational companies they try to, while production, they try to implement global value chain to increase production, more consumers, consumer satisfaction, okay? And they are trying to, in order to produce using different sources, from different countries, okay? From different countries, in order to increase their market share and growth in the economy. So, first of all, before discussing that global value chain, we should know some basic knowledge. First one is supply chain, which is clear, and you know it, supply chain, which means that once one good, before it is produced in certain company and it's delivered, okay? Usually that one, the initial level is raw material, right? Which is that raw material is kept in certain, for example, warehouses, okay? And it's delivered to the manufacturing sector where they design and produce certain goods. And it is distributed to retail stores, and those end customers, they buy those end goods, finished goods, yes? So within this chain of delivering those raw materials, making them the finished goods, and delivering to end users, okay, lots of activities are done. So which means this is cumulative, okay, cumulative network of these entities, and people who are working within this chain, okay, and information flow from one entity to another, or from one individual to another. So it all considers that supply chain, okay? Even though it looks very simple, but in this simple, lots of activities are implemented. From, the network of people, network of these, entities, and information flow, okay? Supply chain, this is chain. And there are two types of supply chain. First one is upstream supply chain and downstream supply chain. Upstream supply chain, you can, from here, for example, you can see that it's now going up, which is raw material is getting perfected. Okay? If it's wheat, which is made flour, okay? When it comes to this baking shop, it's, those cakes are baked, which is the final good, which means that at this one, the wheat price itself, it's 1 kilogram is $1, right? When it was, converted, made into wheat, the price became $1, 1 cent, right? When it was delivered to them, it was additional value added, yes? And when they made the cake with additional other sources, the price will reach the highest, yeah? Which is sold in stores. So which means that raw material gets perfected, finished good. So therefore it's upstream, okay? So the cake is a bit, not a good example regarding here, okay? So if you can see the clothes, that is good example. Why? Once you buy that ready clothes from the store, where you wear it, it loses its value, right? It's now second hand. So once you, after a year or two, if you don't need it, you will trash it, and it can be recycled, okay? Of course, there are some exceptions. There are certain type of goods which has no downstream. Artifacts, historical artifacts, okay? It reached this point, okay? It's used and used and used. It does not lose its value, okay? Certain type of paintings, Mona Lisa, right? Which is priceless painted, okay? Which has no downstream. Of course, if it becomes that if it reaches this level, it will go to the trash, but it's less likely, okay? It's less likely. But in general, all of goods that we are consuming, it goes through upstream and downstream processes of supply chain. Okay? Good. We have traditional supply chain that we already just explained. Traditional. Doesn't matter, if you consider in any century, okay? Hundreds and thousands of years ago. Still, that time, someone was producing something and supplying it in the market and selling it, right? Of course, that time, in thousands of years ago, they did not have this type of technologies that we are using today. But still, that handmade things were available, right? They were using raw materials, and they were making it and selling it. And today, we are also doing the same. But here, we are using certain type of technologies and delivery. Instead of trucks and cars and motorcycles, we are using, in the past, they were using horses and donkeys. That's the difference. But it's still, this one is still considered as traditional supply chain. But now we have modern type of supply chain. If you compare supply chain of today with the past, it's very different. Why? In manufacturing process, in distribution, and even in warehousing, okay, of the goods. So usually we are trying to add value for our goods through marketing, development, and other sales activities. Marketing study itself is some new type of studies that has been developed recently. And companies, they are spending and doing research and development in, for the last few decades. Why? To become more competitive in the market, to increase their market share, they are using very, very different, lots of variety of marketing strategies. If they are not advertising and marketing their goods, they are not able to find more and more customers. And how are they all able to market? Through development, research and development. They are developing new designs, okay? New type of goods, new type of raw materials, okay? Which, consumers, they really like to consume, okay? That way, they are trying to increase their market. And, it's happening between this. Research and development done in here, producing, through marketing, they are distributing to everyone, okay? And even in sales, today, now we have a thing like big data, yeah? Now, millions of dollars are spent, or even billions of dollars are spent for that big data studies. Why? They are trying to study people's behavior, right? For example, if they just see that a certain type of the demand for certain goods is reducing, okay, they immediately search for the answer. Search for the answer. Why? They find out that location for that good is not good. Immediately, by using that research, they are forwarding that type of good to more preferable locations. It's one example. Okay? So where they're trying to increase the sales, okay, through that type of research. This kind of research was not done in the past. Okay? In the past. So therefore we are calling modern supply chain. Good? What about production value? Production value. There are two types of production value, real value and perceived value. Regarding real value of goods, it's clear, right? Whatever is produced, it has its own cost, yes? and producer, and with some additional, that revenue he sells in the market, right? It's the real value of a good. If I like it, then I buy it. It's that type of strategy. It's real value. What about perceived value? So it's usually done through marketing and branding. Okay? Let's suppose you have a choice to choose between these two smartphones. Okay? Exactly same design, if you look. Okay? The thickness is exactly the same. Color is black. All right? Everything is same. Weight is same. No difference. Applications inside, it's almost same. But this one, it does not have the perceived value, but this one has. Why? Because it has that round button here. Okay? And if you look at the back, it has that half-beaten apple at the back. And because it has perceived value, so now our people, consumers, are willing to pay 3, 5, 10 times more. If you consider that real cost of these two goods identical almost, a little difference, okay? But in terms of sales and the final consumer gets, the price is 10 times more expensive. Why? Because Apple company, they were able to develop that perceived value through marketing and branding. Okay? All those brand clothes that you wear, it has perceived value. It's like, that abstract measure. Now it's, Levi's jeans, okay? You're wearing it. It's still jeans that if you buy the Chinese brand, okay? So it's same jeans, same quality. But when you wear Levi's jeans, as if, it makes you, feel very comfortable. So which means that through advertising, they were able to perceive, to have effect on our minds. All right? Perceived value. And you wear those clothes, you feel very comfortable. Okay? You feel very cool. Good. So this is perceived value. Okay? Good. And what about supply chain management? So supply chain that we have just recently talked about, okay? Supply chain, sorry. Is going to reach its maximum efficiency, okay, if proper supply chain management established. Okay? It is supply chain management where they control that production process, that shipment and sales. Okay? It's that. It's, which means all organizations, okay, they have supply chain management, which means they are the ones who are going to monitor everything. Okay? They monitor all warehousing, that distribution, okay, that production and planning of those materials, okay, and whether that goods should be providing AS at the service, okay, services. So these all by supply chain management. Why? What's the goal of supply chain management? To find the most efficient ways of reducing costs. Okay? Cost. By proper monitoring and planning. By reducing costs and increase and reach maximum satisfaction of consumers. Which supply chain management do it. Okay? So in seminar I will try to by next day, by tomorrow, prepare one exercise, okay, where we will be able to see how supply chain management is in practice good. Okay? It's good. How it may increase efficiency of production. Good. So look, And what is the role of human resources in the efficiency of supply chain management? Human resources. We know that all organizations, including our university, we have HR department, right? Human resources. What do? They usually hire professionals, yeah? That's professionals. So our university, now it's leading university in Uzbekistan, partly because they were doing a good job. Why? Because they were able to hire some good professionals to teach at this university. Okay? So which means that this university could not be as successful as it today if they were not able to doing their good properly. Okay? Monitoring the quality of the classes, okay? And whether those consumers you are satisfied, where you provide all of those CCM comments. Thank you very much for those. Okay? So anyways, with that one they try to increase. So that supply chain management is going to be perfectly operating if they have proper employees, okay, those members, okay, which are going to properly monitor the supply chain. Okay, good. And what about value chain? So we thought, so now raw materials, right? Raw materials. They are supplied in, for example, in its warehouse. And then it is supplied to manufacturers, right? And it is distributed to retail stores. And from retail stores, the end consumers buy it. Yeah? Okay? So look, in each process of this supply chain, what makes our today's producers different, they try to find ways to add value. To add value in each process. For example, if you are careless, and you are producing, for example, vegetables and fruits, and you keep those vegetables and fruits in any place that you find, will it affect its quality? It will definitely affect, okay? If it's vegetables, for example, today to add value, for example, you can just harvest those apples now, and not to lose that quality of the apple, you can sell it just right now with the lowest price. In the lowest price, yes? But our farmers today, what they're doing, they are finding new ways of keeping it longer as fresh as it is now, right? Because when time passes, the value of the price of apples will rise. Because that the number of the supply of apples will be less and less and less. Okay? Where at this warehousing itself, they are implementing certain type of technologies which keeps the atmosphere inside very comfortable to keep it fresh. Okay? Just very simple example. And regarding manufacturing, for example, it's that clothing or whatever, or goods, durable goods, they try to, you can compare our refrigerators today and compare it with the past. If one very brand new refrigerator which never was used, okay, very usable, good quality, is brought to you by this, Soviet made, and we have another one that Japanese made. For which one you would like to offer higher price? Japanese made. Why? Because it has lots of different things where Japanese they try to add value. More comfortable doors, okay? And it has some other features inside, lights inside, whatever. Okay, very nice looking. So by doing that one, in this process, by designing, they were able to add value to the same refrigerator. Okay? And if you consider the distribution itself, for example, today we have lots of pizza houses in Tashkent, right? And they have delivery service. Yes? Let's suppose now, in the afternoon at 12, I gave a call. You know, I would like to order that big size pizza. So I'm at Westminster International University. Okay. So now, at 12 it was my order, but it is delivered at 2. After 2 hours. Where I've already, had lunch. And it was delivered in that bad quality, it's already cooled down. What do you think? Am I going to order that pizza again? No. I will not, right? I will not. But if I call to another pizza delivery service at 12, but after 5 minutes it was delivered, very fresh. Next time, okay, after having that one, even though the price of that one is a bit higher, I will be buying from them. Because they will provide a very good delivery service, okay? They are adding value to their good, okay? If that service is not good, I'm not willing to buy it. Why do I need that big size and very cool down after 2 hours? Anyway, I will trash it, okay? Rather, I will pay 10,000 more and buy and get it on time and fresh, okay? So that way they are trying to add value. So now, if we consider the value chain activities, it has primary activities and supporting activities, okay? All of these primary activities are supported by these supporting activities. Inbound logistics, okay? So before manufacturing process, what happens? Those shipping of those raw materials, or warehousing, or inventory management, okay? Before. So where, at this process, as I already explained in terms of, in the case of fruits, okay? In the case of fruits, they are trying to add value by keeping them and inventories in the best way. Management of inventories in the best way. And regarding production, they assembling and manufacturing, do designing, whatever, by research and development, okay, done. And regarding outbound logistics, so again, when it's ready, it's warehouse, it is then delivered, okay, based on the orders. And marketing, you already know, advertising. And at the end, if this company, they want to increase their consumer satisfaction and increase demand, usually most of the brands, they provide service, after service. And all of these processes, okay, primary, they are going to be efficient and productive if they have these supporting activities, which means they are going to be, better, managed if they have human resources. Technologies, they are not able to produce high quality goods if they don't have high quality technology. Strategy, it's very important, okay? How to increase market share. They develop lots of strategies, okay? And research and development, which is done in each process, okay, of this one, which increases that, as I already explained, their market share. Okay, research and development. Good. So, if you look, supply chain and value chain, inverse related. So where supplier produces, that it is supplied, okay, that raw materials are supplied to production, they are produced, and it is sold, consumers get it. Simple supply chain. But in case of value chain, if those organizations and manufacturers, they consider consumers as the most important source. So they study their preferences. Okay? And based on their preferences, they make planning. What should we do to satisfy their preferences? And they will try to innovate certain type of, or produce certain type of innovative goods, which is good for their preferences. Okay? And they produce it, then supply. Okay? And those companies who are able to implement this value chain, like Apple or any other good brands, okay, they became very successful in the world market because their value chain is very, very good. Okay? Good. And what about global value chain? Now we were talking about the, that just within the countries that we just implement. In case of global value chain, the value chain which is dispersed across multiple nations. Good. For example, just ignore this brand. If this, the car maker, right? Very strong competition in world market. German manufacturers, American, Japanese, Korean, Indian, Italian, French, British. Then it's that competition in car market is very strong. And those people who really prefer cars and like and understand, they know what is best in what car. Okay? For example, they like Italian car because some interior design is the best. Italian. They like German car because the engine is super. Okay? That way. So for example, if our GM, they really want to, for example, practice that global value chain, and if they want to increase and sell out to make bestseller in the world market, they have to do some research. Okay? So, what about interior design? How should we design it? It seems that Italian is the best and the most preferred. Let's make it Italian design, interior and exterior. Okay? Good. Which people by looking they like. And just if the design is Italian, what about the engine? It seems that people like German engine. Let's make it German. Okay? And how about the steel that we are using all of that one? We know that Russian they produce the highest quality steel. Steel comes from Russia. So now it's too expensive, but let's reduce the price for which people don't pay attention much. If electronics from China, it's okay. Tires is another very important one, either from the Korean Hankook or Kumho or American. What was Michelin? Is it American? Goodyear. Okay. So anyway, so those. Yep. So just a second. So now global value chain. Okay. So by developing car this much, and through advertising, okay, now they are able to show that it deserves to be sold, and it is very high quality because it has all those strongest German, engine is made in Germany, design is Italian, blah blah blah. People are very happy to buy, and that way they try to increase their market share. Of course, the cost will be higher, okay, higher. But for that one, we should develop perceived value of people first. Okay? For Ferrari, millions of dollars if they pay, they don't feel that it's too much expensive. Why? Because the metal that they're using itself is too expensive. Right? It's not just ordinary metal that we are using. It's totally different, which is very safe to drive. Okay, very nice. That way they were able to increase global value chain. Anyway, so and in order to produce one car, the origins of goods that are used here may be minimum 20 countries origin. Something made in China, something comes from Korea, some part come from US, okay? That way they are trying to, now we are offering Malibu, but that one, the most expensive car maybe in Uzbekistan, okay? That price, because it has now that global value chain. If we use everything made in Uzbekistan to make that car, you will not be offering that price. Or you will. You will not. Okay? So now it reached that level because it's a global value chain. Good? Okay, try to understand this one. Global, global value chain upgradation processes. First one is process upgrade. For example, a very simple example. Let's suppose in Uzbekistan today, we have still thousands of companies, manufacturing companies. They are still using Soviet technology, right? In order to produce certain goods, they are producing that Soviet technology, which is not efficient, very inefficient technology, okay? And it has lots of defective stuff. But if this company decides to replace this non-efficient Soviet technology with more efficient, for example, German technology, okay? It is called process upgrading. Okay? So now they are using more advanced technology in the manufacturing process. Technology itself, which reduces inefficiency, increases quality, okay, and reduces the number of defective goods. That way, they are able to reduce cost and increase demand for their goods. Okay. What about the second one? Product upgrade. I see some of you are wearing optical frames, yes? Optical frames. And they are plastic, right? Those optical frame producers, when first they produce those plastic ones, they use that simple plastic. Okay? Simple plastic. In initial stage. Simple one. Which is very easily broken. Alright? After years, they figured out that because it's easily broken, people prefer metallic than plastic. Easily broken. And later on, based on research and development, they were able to upgrade their raw material, plastic. For example, then they were able to find that TR90 plastic. That I believe it's TR90 that you're wearing. Which is, it's very high quality, okay? And it's very light, very flexible, and at the same time, it does not cause any problem with your skin. Okay? And it does not lose its quality much. Durable. That way, company, they're upgrading their goods from new materials, yeah? For which, if you go to our optical shops, you can buy this simple plastic, Chinese, which costs 10,000 soon, okay? But exactly same design, but plastic is TR90. The price is 5 times minimum more expensive, okay? For which you are very happy to pay. By inventing this type of plastic, they were able to add value. Do you understand? And then, so now, the most outdated type of plastic they're using is ULTAN. It is super elastic, very light and very nice. Price is even double or triple more expensive than TR90. And people are very happy to pay, to buy that same type of, but because the upgraded material that they're using, okay? ULTAN. Good. And what about functional upgrade? functional upgrade. For example, you know that in Uzbekistan, in which region you know, they are sewing very nice suits? In Namangan, right? Andijan, Namangan. For example, they are doing very nice suits where you know that foreigners they are buying from Namangan and Andijan. Even foreigners, Turkish for example, right? They are buying from, in other words, they are producing in Namangan. Because they know that they are very nice, you know, the workers, they are you know, very expert in doing that job. Because it's little cheap labor and you know, experts are here. Those certain type of Turkish brands, okay, they are prepared here in Uzbekistan. And the logo of that, you know, Turkish costumes are, you know, just attached and sold in world market. Okay, where they are producing it for Turkish one. But if they want to upgrade their function of production, okay, because they gain some experience and they know that market needs, you know, more diversity, better design. So now they will be developing new designs. Do you understand? Which is now Turkish design. Where previously they were selling only suits, right? Based on their order, right? But now they will not be only providing their service, but plus they will be selling their design. They will develop certain new design of those suits, okay, which is really liked by consumers, okay, and those Turkish will be using their design. They will be buying design. Original equipment manufacturing. They are moving from original equipment manufacturing to original design manufacturing. Okay? Design in Namangan, in Uzbekistan. Or you see that cars, that you know, Japanese brand designed in India, which is that design is sold for them. Or the ultimate level is that own brand manufacturing. So now if they are very successful in designs, okay, they will be able to establish their own brand. Namangan Andijan whose brand? Suits. Because they have those designs, okay, and they made it their own brand. Now they are selling that Uzbek brand close to the entire world. Brand design. If they reach this level, it's very, very effective. Good. Another factor here is, for example, if you consider, you know, type of Adidas, Nike, those very strong, they are even one step ahead. Why? They are supplying their, you know, their direct suppliers of their goods to those, you know, the retail stores, and plus they have their own stores, brand stores. Yes, Adidas stores everywhere, Nike stores. Okay, so which means that gives them to increase their market share all around the world. Good. What about intersectoral upgrade, or in other words, using knowledge acquired from one sector to upgrade or intersectoral upgrade and implement intersector? For example, Honda. Have you heard about this? Honda. This brand, yes, logo, right? What do they produce? Cars, yeah? Cars. When we were young, when I was a school student, okay, when I was very young, when someone said about Honda, we could not even imagine about Honda cars. Because that time they were producing only motorcycles. Okay? And there was motorcycle, Honda motorcycles, Honda. But later on, because they gained, you know, a lot of experience from producing motorcycles, then they implemented the sector upgrading from Honda motorcycles, they started producing Honda cars. Okay? from gained knowledge in those motorcycle industry, which is intersectoral upgrading. It is called intersectoral upgrade. Okay? Good. And regarding categories, okay, there are two major categories of global value chain based on who is the actor in the market. Producer-driven global value chain and buyer-driven global value chain. There are two types. So now, I will explain it. For example, producer-driven. Manufacturers, they produce, they supply, and consumers, okay, they buy it from those stores, yeah? And it is producers' initiative to supply those goods. And they will be selling. For example, if you consider Latin American countries, in other words, we say import substituting. First, for example, let's consider the producer-driven supply chain is usually implemented by multinational companies. Okay, multinational. They produce and supply because they want it. Multinationals want it to produce. Usually, if you consider natural resources like energy resources, okay. Why multinational companies they try to acquire all of that? Because it is strategically important resources for manufacturing. Okay? Without these goods, it's impossible to produce. If they have stable supply of these natural resources like oil and gas and some raw materials, okay, they will be providing the most effective cost for consumers. Okay? And regarding import substituting industrialization, which is producer-driven, for example, Latin American countries, okay? Latin American countries. Because in the United States, they were very industrialized, okay? In European countries, they were very industrialized. They were producing and they were exporting. While Latin American countries, they were importing. Okay? Importing. Is importing good? No, right? According to mercantilists, we know that importing nations are losers. Exporting nations are winners. So those Latin American countries, they at least try to be in the middle. Not winners, not losers. So which means that they wanted to implement import substitution industrialization. Okay? And those, even in Uzbekistan, we are trying to do it. Okay? Rather than importing, they were trying to produce, which is able to substitute those import goods. Okay? And they were concentrating their own market. And multinational companies, for example, they were investing to these countries to produce certain things which is imported. Durables, the refrigerators or air conditioner, they supply this local market and it's good for them. They are not importing, is it good? Good thing. But if you consider import substitution, it's a very nice strategy, but it's not the best thing. Okay? Just substituting is not enough. Maybe you have listened and many times heard, from the statement of our president, right? If they want to invest, now we have to substitute our, imported goods. We have to produce it, and plus we have to export. Okay, which is buyer-driven strategy. How is it? So now, here, producers, they make decisions to produce and supply for those locals, for example, multinationals. If you consider those Southeast Asian countries, okay, like Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, okay, those Asian tigers, they were able to develop so much, yeah, economic growth was, miracle, which is mostly cited like this, Asian miracle. Because they were mostly concentrated on buyer-driven global value chain. Why? They were substituting all of those import goods, trying to substitute at home. That counts, okay? And plus, they were export-oriented. For example, in Latin America, those people in Latin America, they were buying the locally produced goods. Good thing, okay? But here, they were able to do it, plus they were able to supply. How are they supplying it? How were they able to supply it? Because they were able to find those buyers. So now, American retail department store, German department store, Uzbek department stores, Tajik department store, they want to bring Korean goods, Japanese goods, or from Hong Kong, okay? Because there is high demand for those goods, okay? Because these people wanted to be here. So those Koreans, they were able, okay, or to produce certain goods. It's liked by those consumers. It's their initiative. It comes from them. If you consider, for example, those brand clothes like Adidas, Nike, Puma, whatever, okay, Reebok. For example, if they produce certain amount of number of those goods, okay, thousands of one design of shoes are produced, and they are distributing to all retail stores. And after 1 month, they find out that only 1% of those shoes were sold. Is it positive? It's something very negative, right? Okay. Which means that those consumers are sending negative message by not buying it. Okay? This design is not liked. Because it's buyer-driven, immediately those factories they are producing, they will stop producing it. They will be offering new designs. Do you understand? Because it's them, buyers, okay, who are going to request from them. It's not producer-driven, but buyer. So regarding this is some evolutionary change, okay, producer-driven, mainly 19th century, early 19th, late 19th century. It was based on natural resources, okay, acquired natural resources. And regarding that, in 50s and 60s, mainly in Latin America, on durable goods, okay, at home, import substitution. But in some in the 80s, with the high competition, mostly with consumer non-durables, okay, mainly. Why? And another thing regarding producer-driven chain, okay, it is barriers of entry to the business is very high. Very high. Producing cars, for example. To produce cars, it's not easy because you need a lot of capital and technology. Okay? But regarding buyer-driven chains, okay, it's usually light industries, like clothing. Okay? Okay, so now, please now refer to this governance form of global value chain. Let's suppose there is leading firm, that which is produces. And on the other hand, we have that supplier of raw material. In the first one, market chain, it's very simple, that traditional market type of relationship between leading firm and the supplier. So which means that in the market, the supplier brings its good, and the leading firm is buying. Like we buy and take it over home. Okay? It's like this. But in the case of relational and modular chain, because the supplier has some kind of unique quality, or there are many buyers or leading firms, because of that one, there is higher demand for their goods. They have higher bargaining power. Okay? Which means they are independent. They have high demand for their raw materials from these firms. So because they are unique, okay, and therefore these leading firms, they try to have established good relationship with them in order to get that constant supply. Okay? In the case of question, hierarchical and captive chains, okay, it's vice versa. Where leading firm has higher bargaining power. Maybe there is more supply of those goods, okay, to the market. There is only single, the leading firm. Because purchase of this good is very important, okay. They try to establish good relationship with them, which means governance level of leading firm is very strong now compared to that. In the previous one, it was weak. Okay. So now, if they say, because there are many, they are dependent on their purchase. Regarding the last hierarchical chains, now it means that the leading firm owns it. It belongs to it. Okay? So again, in market chain, it's just sell and buy. In the second one, that they are more dependent on supply. In the third one, they are more dependent on the buyer. In the last one, the buyer owns it. It belongs to them. Okay? And what about the role of government intervention in global value chain? Okay? Global value chain. For example, if government removes developed countries, if they remove entire, all of those trade barriers, like, even on agricultural sectors, you can definitely see that in most developed countries, agricultural sector will start shrinking or dying. Okay? Because those developed countries, agricultural sector is not able to compete with those developing countries where they're able to supply with cheap ones. Okay? Here, support of government intervention and imposing tariffs is good thing in order to support. Why? One thing, this nation is not going to be dependent on them. Okay? Plus, it's better to protect their farmers. Okay? Because still people are able to buy it. No problem. Okay? Where in most of the developed countries they do it. Intervention. By imposing restrictions to protect industry. Let's suppose on the other hand you consider Artel, right? Phones. They produce smartphones. And you know that most of the parts, maybe more than 90% of the parts of this smartphone comes from other countries. From other countries. And for that one, our government may remove those restrictions in order to support this Artel. If government wants to impose, for example, 200% or 100% tariff on any part imported phone making this phone, are they able to produce those phones and offer you with that price? No. It means that by imposing tariffs, is that government itself is not giving a chance for this infant industry to prosper. Which means that at that time, they are not allowing, government is not allowing to practice global value chain. Okay? Because now government made it easy for them, they are practicing global value chain. Because of that one, they have market share in Uzbekistan. People are buying and using it. Okay? Because those Chinese, those screens, it's liked by people. and functions that come from other parts of the world. It's like. And global value chain and economic rules regarding this, that global value chain that you already, it generates income because it creates more preferable goods, okay? It increases market share of the countries, as I already told regarding iPhone, okay, those brands. It creates jobs, no doubt, gives opportunity for human capital, train, while developing processes, okay? Causes technological development through research and development, okay? Gives an opportunity for local firms. For local firms. So if we have more kind of car manufacturers in Uzbekistan available, our GM will be even doing better to compete, okay? Upgrades and builds long-term productive capabilities through gain all of those advantages learned from global value chain. Okay? And it all causes economic growth. Okay? So regarding reading materials, we don't have any book available in our library where they discuss global value chain. Okay? And you can refer to these websites, okay, or these links where you can do some reading. Yes, thank you for coming.